So today, inshallah, we'll start chapter 7, and chapter 7 is about accounting information systems. Okay, if you are an accounting students will have a whole course about accounting information systems. It is accounting 451. طلاب الأكاونتنج في مادة كاملة عن accounting information systems السنة الرابعة accounting 451. In accounting 112 will take just a very quick overview, a very quick overview about accounting information systems. So what is accounting information systems? Or what it does, should say we. Accounting information systems collect, process data from transactions and events, organize them in reports, and communicate results to decision makers. So the accounting information system is, imagine like we have an accounting application عندنا برنامج محاسبة. Okay, we write the journal entries, and the accounting application itself, okay, from the journal entry it will post to the ledger. From the ledger it will prepare trial balance, and from trial balance it will give us different reports like the balance sheet, income statement, and even other reports. Okay, it will automatically do this process. Okay, this is what accounting information system is about. It collects and processes data from transactions, and then it organizes them in reports, ترتبهم على شكل تقارير, and communicate the results to decision makers. So what are the system components? Okay, system components here, these are the components of any system, but now I'll give you an example of accounting system components. So I'll give you more examples about accounting. Mahdi. Yes, Mahdi. Yes, this is real. Yeah. The companies use computer programs for accounting. There are, this is long time ago, not just now. This is very long time ago. Okay, they use accounting softwares, برامج but طبعا of course the accountant role is still important. The role of accountant is still important. He observes the system. He writes the journal entries. Okay, so, or not all the journal entries طبعا, but many journal entries. So still the role of accounting is still the role of accountant is still important. دور المحاسب للحين مهم. And how does it make it easier, harder, and in what way? طبعا of course it makes it easier. So if you remember in chapter 2, طبعا you will see here that it will make it easier as well. We'll have some practical examples on how the accounting information system will make accounting easier. But even in chapter 2, if you remember, the process of accounting, it is very systematic. So we start with the journal entry, then we just copy the journal entries to the ledger, then we add and deduct, نجمع نطرح, we take the balances to the trial balance, and then from the trial balance we prepare the balance sheet, the income statement, and everything. And after that طبعا we can prepare the closing entries. If you remember the closing entries, was systematic as well. كانت طريقة فيها system. You close all revenues, you close all expenses, then you close the income summary to capital. Everything was systematic. So the computer, since this is systematic, it doesn't change. أشياء ما تتغير. The computer will do it for you automatically. Okay, but regarding entering the journal entries, deciding how to record, whether to record revenue or not to record revenue, is this revenue or is this unearned revenue, is this prepaid expense or is it an expense? This is the role of accountant. Okay. Maybe the computer softwares now are advanced, so it might take some of this role, but still the role of accountant is important in this case. But anything systematic, أي شيء ما في تفكير خلينا نقول, anything that does not require thinking, it's just a matter of copying, a matter of calculations, the computer will do it for you. Okay, so of course it makes it easier. Yeah. Yeah, inshallah don't worry, inshallah it will not, your role will still be there inshallah when you graduate. But yeah, to be honest, yeah, now the computer software or the softwares are taking over many things. So that's why I advise you to understand rather than just memorizing, because memorization, the computer will beat you in memorization. The computer بيغلبكم في الحفظ. Okay, but understanding, still the computers and the softwares, yeah, we have something called شو يسمونه اللي هو artificial intelligence, but it is still yes, machine learning, but it is still it is advancing, but it's still not to the level that will take over human okay. So that's why you should understand accounting rather than just memorizing and copying and because as I said, in that the computer will do it for you. Okay, so let us now go back to the system components. So we start طبعا of course with source document. We start with source document. Okay, so source document can be an invoice, it can be a letter, it can be an ownership, maybe ID card, or an ownership ID, وثيقة ملكية, or an ownership document. Okay, so this is a source document where we as accountants identify that there is a transaction that should be recorded. From this source document, we record the transaction through an input device. Okay, through an input device. This input device might be a keyboard, it might be a scanner. So for example, when you go to the Lulu hypermarket or to grocery shop, okay, you find that they scan the product. They scan the barcode of the product. Okay, when they scan it, the computer reads the product and it records, it inputs, or it it takes, or say it takes the information to the computer to process it. So the scanner is an input device. The scanner itself is an input device. Or sometimes some even smaller shops, they don't have scanners, maybe they have a computer device. Okay, they type the transaction there, or they give you like an invoice. Okay, so they type the transaction. So they use a keyboard. So the keyboard is an input device. Then from the input device, it will go to the computer. The computer will process the data. It will prepare ledgers, maybe journal entries, and it will prepare all the other reports. And most importantly, أهم شيء, it will store the data. Okay, it will store the data. يعني تحتفظ المعلومات. هنا مثل ما نقول بالعامي تسيب المعلومات. Okay, it will store the data, and this is very important, because if we did not store the data, then we will lose the information. Nowadays, maybe you've heard about cloud storage. Okay, cloud storage is where you store your data on the internet, on external servers on the internet. So if you use, for example, your mobile phone, if it's an Apple, you definitely use iCloud. So iCloud is an example of a cloud storage software or application. If you use Google, there is Google Drive. Google Drive. So a Google Drive is an example of cloud storage, or a Dropbox, or OneDrive. These are examples of cloud storages. So what it does, for example, when you take a photo through your iPhone or your Android phone, it will upload the photo on external server through the internet, So it saves it. Let us say in the internet, they call it cloud, like cloud. Okay. Then whenever you need the photo again, it can download it again. So even if you lost your phone, even if you lost your device, even if your device get damaged, okay, you still have the photo, so it can be downloaded again. Okay, so this is cloud storage, and now it is very important for accounting softwares to use cloud storage, because accounting softwares are very important. So since they are very important, or sorry, accounting data are very important, so you don't want to lose them. So cloud storage might be now is the safest method of storage. I'm not an IT specialist, but I would think so. Okay, or let us say the safest way for backup. Okay, عشان تكون عندنا معلومات مسيبة يعني. So anyway, let us return back to what we are talking about. So the fourth step will be that the computer will store the data in a storage, whether it's a hard disk or cloud storage or whatever, and then it will use what is stored to give us information through output device. Output device might be a monitor, يعني شاشة. It might be a projector or a printer. Okay, these are examples of output devices. Do you have any question about the system components? Yes, Mahdi, until you lose the password, but there are other ways to get your password back. So, good. Now, let us go to special journals. Now you'll see, you'll have examples here on how accounting information systems make the accountant's life easier. Okay. So in chapter 2, we studied something called general journal. In the general journal, we used to write all the journal entries. All journal entries can be recorded in general journal. But there are some other special journals. These are special journals. So these are 4 examples of special journals, okay, especially for merchandising companies. So let us go to cash receipt journal and cash payments journal. Okay, cash receipt journal. What do you expect cash receipt journal is for? Ahmed, ask me about this question. Ask me this question, inshallah, at the end of the lecture. Inshallah, I will answer you. Okay. So, what is cash receipt journal for? From its name, من الاسم. Cash receipt journal. Receivables, maybe, partly. Yes, Mona, cash, but which cash? The cash that we receive. Exactly, the cash that we get. Any cash we receive, okay, we record it here in this journal. So anything, in other words, anything that includes debit in the cash, أي شيء cash and debit, which means we received cash, should be recorded in this special journal. if the company has this special journal. Exactly, cash sales, for example, these are examples. Receivables, if we collect accounts receivables, when we receive cash of accounts receivable, this is as well cash receipt journal. The opposite is cash payments journal. So any cash payment, so anything that includes cash on the credit, any journal entry that includes cash on the credit, which means that we paid cash, will be an cash payments journal. Okay. We have merchandising companies also have purchases journal and sales journal. So what are these for? By definition, listen. Sales journal is for Mahdi, you are saying supplies and other sales. In fact, not precisely. In fact, sales journal, let me write this down here. So sales journal is for the sale of merchandise inventory on credit. So any sale of merchandise inventory on credit will go to the sales journal. I emphasize on this point, on credit. Okay, sales, yes, sales of merchandise inventory, but on credit. So what we'll do with sales for cash, the band of cash. So if sales journal is only for sales on credit, so where does cash sales go? Exactly. Cash sales will go to cash receipts journal, because when we sell for cash, we receive cash, so it will go to cash receipts journal. Purchases journal is purchases on credit as well. Purchases on credit. Now, where will purchases for cash go? If we have cash purchases, where will it go? We purchase cash, which means for cash, which means we paid cash. When we pay cash, it will go exactly to cash payments journal. Okay. So now let me give you some transactions. I ask you about some transactions, and you tell me which journal to record this transaction. Give me just the number 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay. So let's just say the owner invested 20,000 dinars cash. Where will this go? And 5 طبعا general journal here. Okay. The owner invested 20,000 cash. Since the owner invested cash, yes, it means that the company received cash, شركة استلمت cash, so it should be in cash receipts journal. Sales of merchandise on credit. Exactly, 1, which is sales journal. Purchases of supplies for cash. We purchased supplies and we paid cash. Okay, some might say 2, 3, or 4. I will repeat. We purchased supplies, but we paid cash. Exactly, it is 4. Because when we purchase supply for cash, it means that we paid cash, the pan. So it will be cash payment journal. Okay. Sales returns. We've sold an item, then we've returned the customer returned the product. So sales returns will not go to sales journal, it will go to the general journal. If there is no special journal for sales returns, then it will go to the general journal. So the general journal will accommodate all other transactions, all other journal entries. Anything that cannot be included in 1, not in 2, neither in 3 or 4, it will go to the general journal. Okay. These are just examples for some special journals that companies have. A company might have more than these special journals. Okay. Accountants might create some special journals. Okay. Now let us take an example of how to use a special journal. So let us start with sales journal. What is in the box here is the sales journal. Okay. So let us start with sales journal. So let us start with the journal entry. So what would be the journal entry if we sold on a credit? It will be debit sales, sorry, debit accounts receivable, and sales, 50, let us say. This is just an example. And debit cost of goods sold and credit inventory. Okay. So this is the journal entry for sales. Let me أكبر الخط شوي. Yeah, so this is the journal entry for sales on credit. It will always be like this. Always debit accounts receivable, credit sales, always debit cost of goods sold, and credit inventory. Now, if this will always be the journal entry, the only thing that will differ from a journal to or from transaction to the other is the amount. الشيء الوحيد اللي بيفرق هو الرقم. So why do we always have to write this again and again? ليش دائما نكتب هاي مرة ورا مرة? Okay. If we have a sales journal, a special journal, it will make things easier for us. So have a look here at the sales journal. You will find date, account debited. I will return to this later. Look here. If you can zoom, please. Let's zoom على الجدول. Okay. So you can have a closer look. So you find here شنو مكتوب هنا؟ Accounts receivable debit, sales credit, and you have a column and then عمود in a table. Cost of goods sold debit, inventory credit, and we have a column. So rather than every time we debit accounts receivable and credit sales with the same number and debit cost of goods sold, and we write it. We write cost of goods sold debit, inventory credit, and we write the same number. No, we put it in a table. Okay, if we have a software, we just click that we want to use this, and we just input 2 numbers. بس نحط رقمين, the sales number and the cost of goods sold number, and the computer will do the rest. Or if we have like a manual special journal, so we prepare a table, نسوي جدول, and we just write the numbers here. So why always repeating the same journal entry? ليش دائما نكرر نفس الجورنال entry? Especially if you are talking about merchandising company. اصلا اذا نتكلم عن شركة merchandising يعني, they will always record. This is maybe the most common journal entry that they record. هاي أكثر journal entry تتكرر عندهم. Okay, so to save time, why to write it again and again? لا, we have a special journal, and to save time عشان نوفر وقت. So we write the date, and most importantly, we write the customer name, because it is a sale on credit. We want to know who should pay and who had who يعني to whom we give credit. Mainly in طالب من. Okay, so we write the name here. We write the invoice number for our reference, كمرجع, and we write the journal entries here, or the numbers, the amounts. Okay, is it clear how to use the sales journal and why it is simplifying, or how it simplifies accounting? Okay. Now let's just go to another journal. Before that, here we have sales returns and allowance. It says if a company has few sales returns, they may be recorded in the general journal. But if a company has many sales returns, they may create sales return and allowance journal. Okay, so something similar to this, similar to the sales table here. You might prepare a journal entry like this, or a special journal, and you start recording in this special journal. Okay. Cash receipts journal. So this is cash receipts journal. We've said in cash receipts journal, we record all cash receipts, which means all the time we will debit cash because we are receiving cash. When we receive cash, what do? When we send cash, we write cash on the debit, or we debit cash, and we credit something else. So rather than always we debit cash, okay, especially there are many cash payments or many cash receipts, okay, so خلاص we use cash receipts journal. So if you zoom here on the table, so zoom, you will find that we have here cash debit, and we'll have some other accounts as a credit, and we have other accounts here as well. So if, for example, the transaction was debit cash and credit, let us say accounts receivable, we have the accounts receivable here. So we debit cash and we credit accounts receivable. If the journal entry was debit cash, طبعا always it will be cash receipts journal, always will be debit cash, and credit sales, for example. We credit sales here. If the journal entry was debit cash and credit, let us say notes payable. We don't have notes payable here. What we have? Other accounts. So we write it here, and in account credited we write notes payable. Otherwise, we write the name of the customer, that, and if it was accounts receivable, we received accounts receivable, we write the name of the customer that we received from. نكتب اسم الكاستمر اللي استلمنا منه. Okay. For example, here we have interest revenue. We don't have interest revenue here, so we write it under other accounts, and then we write interest revenue here and debit cash. Is it clear? The cash received journal. Now we have in one journal entry, in one journal, sorry, not journal, in one journal, we have all the cash payments. So it makes it easier for accountants to revise where did our cash go, where راح الcash. And if there's a mistake, it makes it easier for us to check. Rather than imagine going to the general journal, which includes everything. It is difficult to search for journals there, so it makes it easier to have cash receipts journal. This is if it's a manual system. Okay, if it was a computerized system, then it should make it easier for us. But if it's a manual system, then cash received journal will simplify things even more significantly. Okay, so this is the cash receipts journal. Summer, that means that the distribution of cash the list depends on the service. What do you mean depends on the service? I didn't understand your question, Summer, so if you can repeat it, or if you want to open your mic, it's up to you.
دكتور، هل الخدمة نفسها لما نجي نقسم الكاش يعتمد على مسمى الخدمة نفسها؟
Looks like that I have a problem with my speakers. ما قاعد أسمع. So if you can write your question again, please. يعتمد على الخدمة نفسها توزيع الكاش. بعد ما فهمت السؤال. So يعني if you mean it depends on this, do you mean service revenue? Okay. So in the cash receipts journal, anything that involves receipt of cash will be in the cash receipts journal. Anything that involves payment of cash will be in the cash payments journal. But if there was no cash involved, okay, then it will be in other in any other special journal. Okay, so I hope that I answered your question, Summer. وكان لأن بصراحة ما فهمت قصدك بالخدمة. هاي اللي ما فهمت، يعني شنو الخدمة. افترضت ان قصدك الترانزاكشن. اوكي، يعتمد على الترانزاكشن. So if I didn't answer your question, you can ask me again, please. So now for now, let me go to the purchases journal, and Summer, you can okay. So if I answer your question, that's good. We go to the purchases journal. So the purchases journal, it includes any purchase on credit. So whenever we have any purchase on a credit, when we purchase on a credit, we will always credit accounts payable. So especially if the company normally purchases on a credit، خصوصا إذا الشركة في العادة تشتري on a credit. Okay, it will be easier if they have a special journal rather than always crediting accounts payable. لا، خلاص they have purchases journal and they credit accounts payable here. They just entering the number and they debit the other account, whether it's inventory, office supplies, or other account. The same way it's like a table and you will fill the table. كأنه جدول بس نمليه. Okay, so under account you write the customer name or the supplier name. Okay, so we purchase something on a credit. Okay, and we purchase from many companies at the same time. نشتري من شركات وايد في نفس الوقت. So how much and to whom should we pay? كم وحق من لازم ندفع. So we must write the customer or the supplier name. لازم نكتب اسمه. Okay, so we know that this amount is for this company and this amount is for this company and so on. So under account we write the account name, and here we write the journal entry. And if there are some terms, we write the terms, the discount terms or whatever. Okay, we write the terms of the credit here, and we just fill the table. So to write to fill any special journal, you must first know the journal entry. So I would advise you to write the journal entry on the side. So for example, debit, inventory, credit, accounts payable. So now we have this journal entry, we have it on the side. So we just fill the blanks. So credit accounts payable will go here, debit to inventory will go here, and so on. So this is the purchases journal. The last journal is cash payments journal. cash payments journal, which means we credit cash. We credit cash. And we debit other accounts. We might debit accounts payable, okay, or other accounts, or we might credit inventory. Now, why would we credit inventory with cash? There is one situation where we credit inventory with cash in the same journal entry. نحط الانفنتوري والكاش اثنيناتهم في الكريدت. For merchandising companies, there is one case where we credit inventory and cash at the same time. Do you know when is that? Let me make it easier for you. We debit accounts payable, we credit inventory, and we credit cash. What is this journal entry? الجورنال entry مال شنو؟ What's this journal entry for? Debit accounts payable, credit inventory, credit cash. Chapter 5. This journal entry was for the payment of accounts payable during the discount period, which means we got a discount. When we get a discount, you remember, we say that we debit accounts payable, we credit cash as normal, and to record discount, we credit what? Inventory. So crediting inventory is with cash at the same time. This is for the discount. That's why you have here the cash payment journal, inventory on the credit. This is to record the discounts. So these amounts here, these are discounts. Okay. So if you look here, accounts payable on the debit, inventory credit, cash credit. So this was payment during discount, the discount period. Do you have any question? So this is the cash payment journal. Now let me go to one last point. Yeah, this point, subsidiary ledger. So now, if we sell on a credit, when we sell on credit, especially if you're talking about merchandising companies, it depends on the company's policy, but some companies sell on credit usually. It's usual for them to sell on credit. So they sell to multiple customers at the same time on credit. So they, for example, this customer purchased for 20, 30, 50, and so on. They have many customers. And every customer will have to pay at some point in the future. Now, the important point here is if we don't keep track of each individual customer, okay, we will lose the information. So we don't know whom should pay how much. If our accounts receivable was like this, accounts receivable, let us say 100. This shows us that the total amount we expect to receive is 100, but it does not tell us who should pay how much. It tells us that the total is 100. But we want to know, for example, Ahmed, Ali, Hussein, Fatima, how much should they pay? Each individual. So for that, we must have something called subsidiary ledger. In the subsidiary ledger, we will write the customer name. So accounts receivable will be recorded like this: accounts receivable dash Mohammed, for example, 20. Sales, for example, sales 20. So this is the point here. هاي النقطة هني. Accounts receivable, the main account, الأكاونت الأساسي, and there is like a branch, كنا فرع, or we call it subsidiary. Okay, there's like a subsidiary account or branch under the accounts receivable. Okay, in which we record the exact the customer name. So each customer will have his own accounts receivable. We call this subsidiary account or subsidiary ledger. So if you can imagine with me that we have a computer software, we went to the general ledger, general ledger, and we've said in chapter 2 that the general ledger includes all the accounts of the company. So we have receivables, we have payables, we have owner capital, we have cash, everything. Okay, so here in the receivables, we have the total receivables. So this receivables over here is the total receivables. Now we want to know exactly who, each customer, how much should he pay. We want to know exactly all the details. So we go to the receivables and we double click, maybe. It depends on the system, طبعا. And it will take us to another page. We call it accounts receivable ledger. So we have ledger, T accounts, for example, okay, or ledger. But now these ledgers, all of them are accounts receivable ledgers, and for specific customer, Mohammed, Ali, Ahmed, Fatima, and so on. Okay, so we have all the details. We call this ledger over here, we don't call it general ledger, we call it subsidiary ledger. And the accounts receivable here, we call it controlling account, اللي هو الأكاونت الأساسي. The main account, we call it controlling account, and each individual customer will have his own subsidiary account, or here we have subsidiary accounts receivable ledger. Is it clear? Does it make sense? منطقي الكلام؟ So the same thing can be applied for accounts payable as well, and the same thing can be applied to other accounts as well. So if we have land, for example, or let me talk about buildings, for example. If the company has 3 or 4 buildings, let us say 3 buildings. Let us say 3 buildings. Now each building will have his own cost. Each building will have his own depreciation. Each building will have its own useful life. Okay, so each building will have its own subsidiary account, and we will have building subsidiary ledger. The same thing for cars, for example, especially for companies that have many cars. Each car will have its own depreciation, it will have its own cost, it will have its own useful life. So each car will have its own account, but collectively مجموعهم will be under the controlling account car. Okay, do you have any question? So this was chapter 7. This was chapter 7. So for next time, inshallah, for the tutorial, you will answer these exercises. And if you want to practice more, you can answer these exercises from your book. And you can read your book from page 259 to page 270.